December 4th, 1969, Chicago, 4:45 a.m. 14 police officers surround a ground-floor apartment on the west side. Inside, 9 people sleep. Fred Hampton, 21 years old, chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party, lies in a back bedroom beside his fiancée, 9 months, pregnant. He fell asleep mid-sentence on the telephone that evening, his body heavy with a barbiturate slipped into his drink by his chief of security, a man secretly on the FBI's payroll. At 4:45, the officers opened fire, between 82 and 99 rounds into the apartment. Hampton never gets out of bed. 2 officers enter the bedroom and fire point blank into his head. Mark Clark, 22 years old, is killed by the first volley. He may have discharged a single reflexive shotgun blast as he was hit. It is likely the only shot fired by anyone inside. The FBI informant who drew the floor plan of the apartment, who drugged Hampton's drink, who told the Bureau exactly where he would be sleeping that night, receives a bonus after the raid. Fred Hampton had committed no crime that warranted a pre-dawn armed assault. He was targeted because he was effective. His killing was not a tragedy that happened despite the system. It was the system working exactly as designed. The system had a name, COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program, a series of covert operations conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation between 1956 and 1971. Its stated purpose, in the Bureau's own language, was to, quote, expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize organizations and individuals it deemed threats. In practice, it was a program of systematic political warfare, directed overwhelmingly against Black Americans who organized for their own liberation, not against foreign spies, not against terrorists, against citizens exercising rights the Constitution was supposed to guarantee. August 25, 1967, a memorandum is dispatched from FBI headquarters to the special agents in charge of 23 field offices. Subject line, Counterintelligence Program, Black Nationalist, Hate Groups, Internal Security, Signature Block. Hoover had run the Bureau since 1924. By that summer, he had served 8 presidents and accumulated more unelected power than perhaps anyone in American history. From the surveillance of Marcus Garvey in the 1920s to the harassment of Martin Luther King in the 60s, he had directed the Bureau's resources toward the monitoring, disruption, and destruction of Black political movements. With this single document, the most powerful law enforcement official in the United States declared open season on Black political life in America. November 1964, Coretta Scott King opens a package addressed to her husband. Inside, an anonymous letter and a surveillance recording. The letter reads, in part, King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do it. It is widely interpreted as an invitation to take his own life. The letter is not the work of a rogue agent. It is approved at the highest levels of the Bureau, including Assistant Director William C. Sullivan. It arrives weeks before Dr. King is scheduled to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. February 21, 1965, the Audubon Ballroom in New York. Malcolm X is shot 15 times in front of his wife and daughters. He is 39 years old. The FBI had infiltrated his organization at every level. Bureau informants were present in the ballroom the day he was killed. 2 of the 3 men convicted of his murder were innocent, a fact confirmed by a 2021 investigation, 55 years too late. The FBI and the NYPD had withheld evidence that could have changed the case decades earlier. On March 4, 1968, Hoover expanded the program. The objectives, in the Bureau's own words, prevent the coalition of militant Black nationalist groups, prevent the rise of a, quote, messiah who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. Prevent these groups and leaders from gaining respectability. Prevent the long-range growth of militant Black organizations, especially among youth. Read the language carefully. Preventing violence appeared third on the list. The primary objectives were political: preventing coalition, preventing leadership, preventing respectability, preventing growth. These were not law enforcement objectives. They were the objectives of political suppression. The organizations targeted by COINTELPRO Black nationalist hate groups, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Congress of Racial Equality, the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party, the Revolutionary Action Movement, the Republic of New Africa. Their leaders ranged from advocates of nonviolence to advocates of armed revolution, from integrationists to separatists, from religious organizations to secular ones. The common thread was not ideology, it was blackness and political organization. What did the Bureau spend a federal program to destroy? The Black Panther Party's Free Breakfast for Children program. By 1969, the Panthers were feeding 20,000 children a day. Hoover called it, quote, the greatest threat to efforts to neutralize the Black Panther Party. Not the guns, the breakfast, free medical clinics, sickle cell screening programs, community schools, legal aid, rent strikes, voter education. The Church Committee, in its 1976 final report, would describe what the Bureau had done as, quote, a sophisticated vigilante operation against groups and leaders the FBI judged to be threats to the existing social and political order. The program was nominally terminated in 1971 after activists broke into an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania on the night of the Ali Frazier fight, stole the documents, and mailed them to the press. But the war did not end when COINTELPRO was exposed. It evolved. It found new names, new legal frameworks, new technologies. The surveillance state J. Edgar Hoover built did not disappear. It grew. Mass incarceration, militarized policing, persistent surveillance of Black political activity, the systematic underdevelopment of Black communities. These are not unrelated phenomena. They are the descendants of a single program. The war against Black power was real. Its casualties were real. The documents are public. The hearings are on the record. And the program that FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover called his most important domestic initiative is, for most Americans, still a blank page. This is the history that was hidden. Read the book, know the playbook, recognize the hour.